from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Election day in New York. It's the primary, but that's the big election there because I don't know if they have a real solid
one-party system.
Republican candidate. But it's so bad, so grim, that the Chicago Tribune issued a warning to New Yorkers about electing a socialist mayoral candidate like Zohran Mamdani. In this op-ed that was there yesterday, the paper's editorial board painted a bleak image of Mamdani, a 30-year-old Democrat socialist from Queens. He's an assemblyman there who leapfrogged to somehow, in the latest poll, it shows that he's beating Governor Andrew Cuomo in this new poll. A familiar, they call him a moderate, business-friendly Democrat versus a Democrat socialist. And that, quote, "We've seen this movie before, and the ending isn't pretty." The board of one of the largest remaining big city daily newspapers cautioned. They went on to say that his buzzworthy campaign, which has garnered a historic amount of grassroots support, is that of, and similar to, Mayor Johnson's, who took office in 2023. Here's some Mayor Johnson's greatest hits. You remember this. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, he's special, right?
Of course
he's different because he's a dad. Oh, I'm sorry. Last I checked, most of us are parents.
Seems
and
so. Yeah.
I work 3 jobs, buddy boo.
I have children who attend schools who have soccer games, y'all.
Oh, mine.
You all are
football,
asking me
soccer,
as if
volleyball,
I'm not a
swimming.
parent in this city. I get it. I'm mayor. I get it. But you're asking me to give you a date, and I have to court. Do you understand that you have not had a mayor like me? I get that. I have a wife. I have children. They have schedules. And plus, we still have public safety that we have to address. We still have the unhoused that we have to address. I still have a budget that I have to address. And I'm doing all of that with a black wife raising 3 black children on the west side of the city of Chicago. I am going to the border as soon as possible.
He never went to the border. He invited them in.
Why? What is he talking about? Like, where does this fit in that is scheduling conflicts?
This is a few years ago, but because he said he was going to go to the border to see, how porous it is and what's going on.
Sure. Yes.
And that was his response. Like,
Fortified
get off my
sanctuary
back.
city.
I'm a dad.
Yeah, we're not. You're the mayor.
You're not unique.
Yeah, you're not unique. And you're the
Rahm
mayor.
Emanuel
You have
had kids, so did Mayor Daley.
Yeah.
And the mayor before that. And the mayor before that.
And you're not the first black mayor either. You know what I mean? So what is it?
Well, he don't like white people.
It doesn't seem so. Yeah.
No. Listen up.
Now look, white supremacy is real, y'all.
Say that.
I'm gonna say that one more time.
Say that.
Because in case the city of Chicago don't know, you got a black mayor with a black wife, black children on the west side of Chicago. And all of these other administrations that shut down our schools, that shut down public housing, that raided the pensions, that sold off the parking meter, that sold off the Skyway, those people ran this city to the ground, and now they expect a brother to fix it in a year.
Say it.
Well, guess what? We're off to a great start, and I look forward to fixing they mess, building up our communities for the next 23 freaking years. God bless you, Chicago. Southside pride.
Oh, I'm sorry. You thought you were going to be in office for the next 23 years there, did you?
And I live in a beige house with a green lawn, and I have a black Honda, what's it called? HRV. So there.
I mean, this guy. The paper went on to say Johnson's approval ratings cratered in his second year, a reflection of how quickly progressive promises collapsed under the weight of governance and Chicago's financial reality. What sounded good in theory has translated into dysfunction, driven by physical missteps and political inexperience.
Huh.
We've come to this where the Chicago Tribune is warning New Yorkers not to vote for Zohran.
So Zohran, he's for rent control, and he's for government-owned grocery stores.
That's what Mayor Johnson wants.
Yeah, then the most
fascinating thing, grocery stores.
It literally goes against every economic. These aren't economic theories; these are economic principles and realities. That as soon as you start reducing the supply of something by controlling the prices will go higher. So there's just one derivative in the middle where these policies that sound like they're supposed to make prices go lower make prices go higher. It's the absolute opposite effect, and it's not up for debate. It's just what it is.
Because the numbers don't lie.
They don't lie, of course. And every economist in the world will admit this for rent control, because even when a government starts talking about rent control, then developers start to back away from that property. So supply doesn't come to market like it should. This is not something that is a fringe theory that I'm spouting out here. This is something that is universally accepted in practice and economics. So it's another one of those things. And Thomas Sowell, the greatest economist of all time, would always say the history of economic policy over the last 50 years pretty much can be summed up by things that sound good replacing things that work, which is exactly that quote that you just gave, just in a different form.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that? The caffeine is kicking in. I am ready to go. I still live in a beige house.
And drive a
black Honda. Right. And I love my black Honda.
Oh, gosh. All right. So let's welcome to the program, or back to the program, FOP president of Chicago. Let me try this again. President of the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police, John Cantanzara. Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning. Thanks.
Good. So listening to all that, has it motivated you to maybe, let's say, run for mayor in a few years?
I don't know if there's going to be a city left in another 23 months. This guy is something else.
I know. Well, I mean, I know that you were thinking about running last time around and then decided not to. So just let us know when you're there, okay?
10-4.
All right. So what do you think about the Chicago Tribune board warning New York voters today not to vote for a progressive?
It's a strange world we live in, but they're spot on. And the reality is that guy's even worse than this guy by all accounts. That's pretty frightening. But Brandon warned us, and sadly, too many people live inside a little thing called a cell phone, and that's where they get all their information and all their intelligence these days, and it is showing in the voting. People just have no clue what they're doing, who they're voting for. They go for shiny objects, and this guy who wasn't much brighter than the fifth graders he taught somehow got elected. And I comically laugh every time he keeps talking about his wife, his kids, growing on the West Side. He has a contingent of officers that chauffeur him around like a king, because that's just the inflated ego he has of himself. Takes him to the gym first thing in the morning, takes his kids to those soccer games. His kids aren't in any damn danger. He has no idea.
Well, how big is his detail? I'm sorry. I mean, is it larger than Lori Lightfoot's? Is it larger than Rahm's? Well, it's got to be larger than Rahm's, because Rahm lived by me, and I saw his detail was not that big.
Well, this all started under Lori. She really thought high of herself and decided to block off the whole neighborhood she lived in, kind of like kind of like the former king in Hyde Park over there when Barack, started that giant detail. I get it. The president's a little different scenario, but the mayor is not. And there was no reason to have over 150 officers assigned. It's not a one-time, obviously, but it blocks off the whole neighborhood and makes sure, the actual personal bodyguard detail is a whole nother issue. When you have an advanced car of 4 or 5 people, officers, and then your own detail, it just never ends. And that's not, listen, that's somewhat the norm. It's just overinflated with the last 2 mayors. But you go to the abuse that was supposed to be reined in that keeps going on. I mean, Anna Valencia and Melissa Conyer-Irving have the drivers and details. Are you kidding me? For what?
For what?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh! Most people don't even know what office they hold.
Well, let's talk with, obviously Melissa Conyer-Irving, whose husband, Jason, is the budget chairman. Oh, lo and behold, talk about quid pro quo. You do what I want, I'll hook up your wife with a security detail.
It's unbelievable. John, here, my question to you is this, and I've been arguing about this for the entirety of Brandon Johnson's tenure, is that I think he's doing a fantastic job because, just bear with me for a second. He literally ran on a pro-crime platform. There's 5 different things that he said that he could do to increase crime. One, no foot pursuit, no cash bail, defund the police. What did these people in Chicago, our people, think about when they were voting for a guy who literally said he was going to favor the criminal over law enforcement? What the heck did they expect? Isn't this exactly what he promised us?
Yeah. The reality is it's been a promise even in Springfield, to be blunt. I mean, it's the same kind of playbook, so to speak, where they want less people arrested because their concept is the only people in prison are black and brown people, which is a farce to begin with. Absolutely. But here we are. Yeah. But I will say they could talk all they want about the trends being down, murders, shootings, all of the major crime stats. But it's not because of anything he came up with. It's not even really anything that the police department's doing any differently for the most part. There is some differences with Superintendent Snelling's approach. But the largest difference is having a Cook County State's Attorney who's going to prosecute criminals.
Amen.
And word get it on the street. It discourages criminal behavior because they know they're going to get prosecuted and put in jail. So that's where the credit really deserves to be put.
Now, recently, and the reason why I wanted you to come on the show originally was because there's police cadets, which I'm glad we're still getting some, because there used to be long lines, months, year-long waits to become a Chicago police officer. But the cadets, have they been paid yet? Because there were months where they were not getting paid at all.
It was 2 pay cycles, and it wasn't until, they kind of plan it out that way. So they plan it out where they hire you right after the beginning. Your first day is the beginning of this next cycle. So that's automatically a 2-week wait before your first paycheck. But they never turned in the paperwork. And the mayor got cute and tried to blame the union and I guess me for the paperwork issue. We don't have anything to do with the city payroll paperwork. It gets filled out right away. He can't keep quality people employed in the government of Chicago. They leave in droves, and the incompetent level of the people that are left behind is showing more and more and more. They finally did get paid about 3 days after I made a public stink about it. Thankfully, it was a week ago Friday, so they did get made whole finally. But there's a whole bigger, sadder issue that I've addressed a couple times at City Hall and even with aldermen, and nobody seems to give a damn, but it also goes to the city's finances. There is a bill due well over $350 million on the low end that is owed to officers for time worked over a decade ago in some cases. And it has a 5% court-ordered interest number attached to it for improperly paying officers for overtime worked, like I said, up to a decade ago, and they just refuse to do the right thing. They keep stringing it out, even though they have lost at every step of the way, and they're going to continue to lose. They're going to be forced to issue a bond, according to what the judge said, to secure the judgment because they're running out of appeal options. And at some point they're going, and they just refuse to pay. And they know it's not a hard concept to understand. They just have to pay the money, and they're not.
Well, I mean, that's not a sustainable system. It's like they're running away from something that they know eventually is going to eat them up.
Well, no, he's doing the same thing he complained the other mayors were doing, right? You run the city into the ground, you pass it on to the brother to come save the neighborhood. I mean, it's just a joke, but it's exactly what he's doing.
Well, he never paid the bills in his own household. I mean, are you kidding me? The guy didn't pay his water bill for a year to the tune of $3,000+ and unpaid parking tickets and red light camera violations.
He wasn't living there, so why would he? I mean, he was living in Elgin.
So was he living in Elgin, or did he rent an Airbnb in Lombard while he was running for mayor?
Yeah, well, there's a whole lot of different things, but he is the Manchurian candidate, and they got their way.
Okay, well, do tell me more about that. I know he was born in Aurora and then raised in Elgin, so he was out there in Elgin before he became a Cook County commissioner.
You just mean he's the puppet of the teachers.
Tony Preckwinkle ran him against Richard Boygan, I believe, because Boygan was against her sugar tax on drinks. So then he comes in, but I don't know. And I was trying to find out, did he live in Chicago when he was a Cook County commissioner?
John?
Yeah, by all accounts, he did not. It's kind of like Rom's wedding dress in reverse, but...
Hey, when there's a reference,
I love that controversy.
I'm going to look that up.
And then the guy who was renting, Rom's claimed he lived in Illinois.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to run for, was it Congress, mayor? No, mayor. And he was in D.C., but he said, no, I'm still in that house because our wedding dress is in that house.
Oh, that
but
settles
then
it.
It turns out, listen to this, the guy that was renting his house also ran for mayor. So remember that, John?
Yeah.
Wasn't that fun?
Strange tales in the city, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if we ever got enough signatures, but he announced that he was running for for mayor. Oh, only in Chicago.
You can't make it up.
No, you can't.
But I have this thesis, John, that I think in 10 years' time, the suburbs have 9 million people. The city itself has 2 million people. I think the whole commerce is shifting, and particularly if the Bears go from it, because that'll be kind of this metaphorical thing. I think in 10 years and 20 years, the world may think of Chicago and the business opportunities as more suburban than the city itself, and the city will be just like the bad fruit rotting on the vine. I hate to say that out loud. Do you think there's any?
True.
Do you think that's real?
Well, I will tell you, I think nobody really knows 100% because artificial intelligence is going to be the unknown factor in all of this and what it means and translates to the financial kind of industries. And
good point.
Actually, even labor.
Yeah.
What was it end up looking like a decade from now, and even probably sooner than that? It's going to be a very different world our kids grow up in. So how that impacts Chicago specifically, we shall see.
Amen.
But I really, it just makes my heart break when I see what this beautiful city with this rotten core like an apple is turning into slowly day after day after day.
I know. It's so sickening. And the only thing saving us is the beautiful lakefront.
It's gorgeous. They can't mess
Honestly,
that up.
Overran by it was overran by motorcycles, mopeds, and four-wheelers over the weekend through Grant Park, like it was Mad Max.
I know. So can we talk about that? Because I visit Montrose Dog Beach a lot, and there, I can't stand people who litter, so I probably shouldn't go to the beach. But we have all these illegals from that shelter that just leave all their garbage behind. Yeah, this has been going on for 2 years. Can I take police action, please?
I deputize you.
I'm serious. It's
I
settled.
want to be on garbage. And I even say in Spanish, like, oye, póngate tu basura. And I'm like, nah. And then I walk away. I'm like, because there's nothing I can do. And also there's a large police presence all the time at Montrose Beach. Is there something that we don't know? Is that a proactive move or what's going on? Give me the scoop.
It's a proactive move. The lakefront, especially in the summer, is a hot spot for criminal activity. These kids, this generation just thinks whether they grew up on Grand Theft Auto or whatever the case may be, are entitled to do whatever they want, whenever they want, to whoever they want, and they don't believe there's any consequences because they don't have any consequences at home. So that's what society means to them.
Yeah, and they're not. They're right. There's not consequences.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, until you have an adult in the room
Amen.
that is sitting on the 5th floor of City Hall that doesn't care about re-election, that doesn't care about being the cool guy on the block, and just says this is the way it's going to be, and I'm going to let the police department do what it needs to do to affect, some level of civility. It's not going to change. It's just not. It's been a slippery slope that's gotten worse and worse and worse. It's progressed even into the whole state and in many urban parts of this country. Sad but true.
Yeah. All right, John Cantanzara, we're going to leave it there. FOP president, good friend of the show. We really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all. 2 more years of this nonsense. Hang in there.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful